Box Office Poison is about, there's two main stories. One of them is about Sherman, who's a bookseller, a bookstore clerk, and he gets involved with this woman named Dorothy, and they have a very tempestuous relationship. So that's one arc, that's one storyline. And there's another storyline about Ed, who's a young cartoonist who gets a job for a older cartoonist named Irving Flavor, who sort of was a golden age icon. And Ed finds out that Flavor created this character called the Night Stalker, who's basically the child of Batman and Spider-Man, so not in the legal sense. So he's just sort of a superhero, a very popular superhero, and Ed decides that he's going to help Mr. Flavor sort of get the respect and possibly the money he deserves from the Zoom Comics, this huge comics empire. So those are the two main storylines, and they, Ed and Sherman are friends, so their stories sort of interweave and reflect on one another. And there's a supporting cast of like 70 characters or something like that. So it was originally ran as a 22-issue series from Antarctic Press, and then Top Shelf came out with the collection. And that's when it really sort of took off. When I started the series, I definitely envisioned it as having a beginning, middle, and end of this particular story, and I was a huge fan of Dave Sim, so I loved who did Cerebus, these gigantic, thick phone book size graphic novels, and I loved the idea of doing one like that. So I said, well, this will probably run for about 20 issues, and which is what it did. And originally, I imagined continuing with the story, but by the time I got to the end of it, I was like, all right, I did the story I wanted to tell, so I said, I ended the series and said. And then I approached Top Shelf about releasing it as as a trade paperback. And I thought it would be a series of trade paperbacks, but they said, no, we want to do it as one big 600-page book, and which is what I always wanted to do, as I said. So I was very excited about that. So that was pretty much the entire story. The stuff that's in the Bop book is a bunch of short stories and stuff I did for other people's anthologies while I was working on Box Office Poison, but they were concerned about the book being if they had put that material in, the book might have been too thick and had problems being bound, and at least at the time. Since then I guess there's been other books that have been bigger, like the Bone collection, but so it's just sort of a companion volume. I was nominated for the Eisner Award for talent deserving a wider recognition, and I won that one. I was nominated for the Harvey Award, or the book was nominated for the Best Graphic Novel, and it lost that. It was nominated for a Firecracker Book Award, and it lost that. It was also nominated for an Ignatz Award, but that was the year they didn't hold the SPX Festival, so that was undecided. That was a tie. So Box Office Poison, I guess. Oh, and then in France, unbelievably, they gave it a award for the best best debut book at the Angoulême Festival in France. And that one was, I never not that I ever expected to win any of the awards, but I fully expected to win the Eisner Award. That one was a lock, but the French one, that totally shocked me, because I never would have imagined that. It was very strange. The morning of the festival, my wife and I were getting ready to go to the festival. We were ready to go to the San Diego Comic-Con, and Mommy Dearest was on TV. And I don't know if people know, but I got the expression Box Office Poison from the film Mommy Dearest. At one point, Louis B. Mayer says to Joan Crawford, "You're fired because you're Box Office Poison." And that sort of stuck in my head, and then I called the series that. So when we saw that on TV in the morning, we took it as an omen. We're like, I'm going to win that award. And that's what happened. So it was but it was a fantastic honor and stuff. And the thing I remember the most is that I was walking up to the podium, and the applause had sort of stopped, and I still had about 150 feet to go. So it was like, yeah, and I'm like, and then it's just sort of like, cricket, cricket, as I'm boom, boom, stumbling up the stairs, and you know. So that's what I remember the most from it, and so yeah, it was terrific. Some friend of mine sort of ruined it for me by, you know, because it's talent deserving a wider recognition. So it's basically sort of like the Good Try Award. Like, you know, you're not, you know, it wasn't good enough to win any of the real awards, but you know, you almost did it.